الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا اللهم بما علمتنا وزدنا اللهم علما وعملا إنك ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. أما بعد، فنواصل درسنا في السيرة النبوية، وآخر ما أخذناه الأحداث التي حصلت بعد غزوة أحد وقبل غزوة بني النضير. بني النضير من المعالم في السيرة، ولكن حصلت بينهما أحداث وسرايا لابد من ذكرها. We mentioned that we're continuing on some of the events that happened in the biography of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And of course, it's important for us to know this biography because he is our role model, he is our qudwa. And also the Sahaba, we'll mention some of the events concerning the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, along with the seerah and the events that took place and their good qualities and how they defended the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how they sacrificed their wealth and their lives and everything for this religion, and so that we would know this Islam. They carried this religion to us. They're the hamalat ad-din. فمن يعني وقع فيهم فإنما يقصد المحمول، يعني الذي يطعن في المرسل يطعن في المرسل. There's a principle: whoever attacks the one who is bringing the message, then in fact he's attacking the message and the one who gave the message, who is Allah Azza wa Jal, who's trying to disrespect and not accept Allah's religion. So the last thing we mentioned, we stopped at بعث بئر معونة. أخذنا بعث أو سرية الرجية وذكرنا ما حصل فيها، واليوم نأخذ سرية بئر معونة ويقال لها أيضا سرية القراء. So we're going to talk today about a expedition that took place في شهر صفر من السنة الرابعة. ذكرنا أن غزوة أحد كانت في سنة الثالثة في شهر شوال، وهذه الغزوة السرية يعني سرية القراء في السنة الرابعة في شهر صفر. So this battle took place in the fourth year after what? After the hijrah, after the migration from Mecca to Al-Medina. And the battle of Uhud took place in the third year, in the month of Shawwal after Ramadan. And this battle is going to take a few months later in the month of Safar, in the fourth year of the Hijrah. وسبب هذه السرية أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم جاءه أناس يطلبون منه من يعلمهم القرآن. كان أناس طلبوا يعني من يعلمهم السنة والقرآن ويفقهوا في الدين، يعني طلبوا معلمين. فالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لبى رغبتهم فأرسل إليهم. ومن هؤلاء الناس؟ هم قبائل معروفة، هم قبائل يعني أصية وريل وذكوان. So there were some tribes من الأعراب, from the Bedouins, because in the area outside of Medina there's tribes, and these are desert people, and they're not city dwellers, but they wanted to learn the religion. Some of them, they claimed they wanted to learn the religion, so they asked the Prophet ﷺ to send to them teachers. And so Prophet ﷺ, he would oblige to send the teachers. فأرسل إليهم يعني هؤلاء القبائل قد أسلموا، فأرسل إليهم من خيرة الصحابة يعني أرسل إليهم معلمين ولهم خصال عظيمة كما ذكر في الحديث. فهم آه، كانوا على مثابرة على التحصيل العلمي وفعل الخير. ذكر في الصحيح أنهم كانوا يتدارسون القرآن بالليل ويتفقهون في الدين، ويعني يقرؤون القرآن بالليل، وبالنهار يأتون بالماء إلى المسجد سقية للفقراء، ويعملون يحتطبون ويبيعون ويشترون به أغراض طعام للفقراء، خاصة أهل الصفة أفقر الناس، فيطعمونهم. فكانوا بالليل في الدراسة والتحصيل العلمي، وبالنهار كانوا مشغولين بإطعام الفقراء وصدقة لأهل الصفة. فكانوا على هذه الخصال العظيمة، كانوا من خيرة الصحابة. كان عددهم 70، هم 70 قراء. So as mentioned in the narration that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he answered them, these tribes. He had good suspicion about them, that they wanted to learn. And there were people that were good from them, and they were sincere. So he sent to them 70 of the Sahaba. Not any Sahaba. He sent very knowledgeable and very pious and good Sahaba. I mean, good. All the Sahaba are good, but they were knowledgeable. And they used to, as comes in the narration, they used to spend the night studying the Quran. يحفظون al-Quran. At night, they were busy what? Memorizing the book of Allah and studying it, gaining the knowledge. This is how they spent their night. They slept, but they also woke up and they studied and they learned, they memorized. And then in the day, they're busy with what? Not sleeping. In the day, they're doing good. خير الناس أنفعهم للناس كما في الحديث. The best of people are those who are the most helpful to others, those who benefit and help others most. So that's how they applied their knowledge. ما كانوا يتعلمون فكفى، لكن طبقوا هذا العلم بالعمل الصالح. They didn't just learn, but they actually applied this knowledge. So they used to go do what? They used to go and cut firewood, work with their hands. And then they would go and sell the firewood and buy with it food. Not for themselves only, but to feed the poor. So they go feed the poor people and give them drink, especially the people Ahl Sufa. Ahl Sufa are the poor people who didn't have any dwelling, so they had to live in the masjid. They lived in the masjid not because of any reason, except they didn't have any other place. They had no other place to go, and they used to not be able to support themselves. So this is what these 70 of the Sahaba they used to do. In the day, in the night studying, in the day working and supporting and helping the poor people. طيب، فهؤلاء السبعون أمر عليهم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المنذر ibn Amr رضي الله عنه. So who the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم put in charge of this group, this caravan, is a man named Mundhar ibn Amr. He's the leader. Always you have to have a leader when you go on a journey, especially when you go for a teaching or a long journey or battle or expedition. You have to have a leader. Even ourselves go on any journey, we have to have a leader. This is sunnah, that we should have a leader who is the decision maker after taking counsel from others in the journey. فهم يعني خرجوا ووصلوا إلى مكان اسمه بئر معونة. They reached a place called the well of Ma'una. This is where they reached, and لقيهم الأعراب هناك. These tribes, they met them there on the way. فكان من هؤلاء السبعين رجل اسمه حرام ابن ملحان. حرام ابن ملحان هو أخو سليم أنس. So from these 70 was a great Sahabi named Haram ibn Malhan. He is the brother of Sulaim. Sulaim is the mother of who? Anas. Anas ibn Malik. Radiallahu anhu. So he is what? He's the uncle. Who Khal Anas. Haram ibn Malhan. And we know Anas is one of the great, most in narration of hadith, min al-mukthirina fi riwayah. He narrated many hadith. Many of the hadith you'll come across, Abu Huraira, Anas, Ibn Umar. He's one of those great narrators. So his uncle was in this journey. فقال لهم لما لقي هؤلاء القبائل قال لهم أتقدم إليهم، لكن ما زالوا على حذر، يعني هم كانوا مستعدين للغدر، لأن هؤلاء أعراب، وقال يقول الله عنهم الأعراب أشد كفرا ونفاقا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Bedouins, since they don't have much knowledge and they're rough people, أشد كفرا ونفاقا, they're the most in disbelief and hypocrisy. So they were prepared for some treachery, and they were right, there was treachery. So Haram, he said, I'm going to go ahead, أتقدمكم فإن أمنوني حتى أبلغهم عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وإلا فأنتم مني قريبا. He said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to inform them that we're coming, from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We came to teach you, so don't fear us. Let us come and do our job. And he told his companions, the 70, if they let me go, then fine. Otherwise, you're close to me. Be ready. Be ready for some treachery, some deception. فتقدم فأمنوه فبينما هو يحدثهم إذ أومأوا إلى رجل فطعنه فأنفذه. جاء إليه رجل من خلفه فطعنه بالحربة فأنفذه. So what happened? The Haram is talking to them. They let him come into the gathering of these Bedouin, and then they indicated to a man from these Bedouins to go behind Haram, and then he took a dagger and stabbed him in the back and pierced him, went through him with the dagger. طيب ثم تحقق في ذلك الوقت شيء عظيم. الذي حصل أن حرام لما حس بالحربة صاح ليس حزنا، لكن صاح صيحة الفرح. فرح لما أصيب بهذه الحربة، فأصاح رفع صوته وصاح الله أكبر فزت ورب الكعبة، الله أكبر فزت ورب الكعبة. فهذا مشهد عظيم. استغربوا منه كيف أنه أصيب، ويعني الآن يلفظ أواخر النفس أنفاسه الأخيرة وهو يفرح ويصيح الله أكبر، حتى قيل أن الذي أصابه وقتله من هؤلاء الأعراب أسلم بعد ذلك تعجبا منه. هذا يعني من أعجب الناس. So what happened, this Sahabi, when he was stabbed in the back, he screamed very loud, but it wasn't a scream of terror or fright or sadness or pain. He screamed happily. He said Allah. Of course he was in pain, but he said something to indicate he's happy. He said Allahu Akbar. He said Allah is the greatest. Fustu, I'm successful. Wa Rabbil Kaaba, and he swore by the Lord of the Kaaba. He said I've gained success. Innu shaheed, because he died a martyr. This is the goal. The goal for everyone is to enter Jannah, and not any place. Yani bil Jannah, you should ask for al-Firdaus al-A'la. When we ask for Jannah, we should ask for the highest in Jannah, and that's reserved for those who sacrifice the most, those who give their life and their wealth or whatever they can of good deeds and spend their life sacrificing and giving and worshiping. So this is something that, they were amazed, the Bedouins, because they were disbelievers. And of course, and it's reported the one who killed him, actually, he became Muslim later because he was amazed by this is something that they're not used to. لم يعيدوا هذا ما عيدوا هذا من قبل. ف فتعجبوا من ردة الفعل التي حصلت من هذا الصحابي الجليل. So they were amazed by his reaction. ولكن هؤلاء الأعراب ما اتفقوا بقتل هذا الصحابي، بل تتابعوا وغدروا ببقية السبعين حتى قتلوهم جميعا على آخرهم إلا رجلا ورجلين، أحدهما كان أعرج فصعد جبل وفر منه، وقيل أنه رجع إلى المدينة وأخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بما حصل. So they killed. What happened? These Bedouins, these tribes, not only did they kill Haram, they killed all the 70. And we said these are not any Sahaba; these are great Sahaba. Okay, very knowledgeable Sahaba. They killed them all except this reported one. One of them, he escaped. He was a he escaped. He had some limp in his leg, but he escaped and climbed the mountain and got away. وفي بعض الروايات لما رأوا القتل ورأوا ما حصل لهم قالوا اللهم بلغ عنا نبينا أن قد لقيناك فرضينا عنك ورضيت عنا. It's reported that these Sahaba, this hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim, this report of this battle of Bir Ma'una or Sariyat al-Qurra, that when the 70 were attacked and being defeated and being killed, they said, "O Allah, inform our messenger of what happened to us. We have come to you, and we're pleased with you, Ya Allah, and you're pleased with us." Meaning they're dying in this condition, shaheed, shuhada, and they're asking Allah to inform the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. فجاء في الرواية عند مسلم أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لما أخبر بما حصل قال إن إخوانكم قد قتلوا وإنهم قالوا اللهم بلغ عنا نبينا أن قد لقيناك فرضينا عنك ورضيت عنا. And the Prophet ﷺ, in the narration of Anas, he said that your brothers have been killed, talking about these 70. And he said what they said, Allahumma balligh anna nabiyyana. O Allah, inform our Prophet about us. So this is the battle, we said, of Bir Ma'una. ولما أخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بغدر هؤلاء الأعراب دعا عليهم، قنت في صلاة الغداة صلاة الفجر 40 يوما، فدعا عليهم ويعني وهم القبائل قلنا أوصية وريل والذكوان وبني لحيان. فبقي على هذا الحال قلنا أكثر من شهر 40 يوما وهو يدعو في صلاة الفجر دعاء كنوت على هؤلاء الظلم من الكفار. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he heard this treachery, then he made dua in qunut, in fajr for 40 days. For 40 days he's making dua against these oppressors who killed the Sahaba. And these are these tribes. So this is what happened after this battle. We said this is Ghazwat or Sariyat al-Qurra. Any questions about this about this battle? We said this happened. We said after Battle of Uhud. Okay. And any questions?
What happened to the tribes after the dua was made against them?
Let's not mention. I didn't come across that. But the Islam spread slowly in the area. So, the dua was against those disbelievers. So I'm not sure. We can check, inshallah, what happened afterwards, but it's not mentioned in what I came across. Yeah, but the sunnah this is indicates for us the sunnah. If there is some calamity that happens in the Muslims, then the scholars will indicate that this is the time for al-qunut, for this type of qunut dua. We have qunut in witr, which we do individually for all of us, sunnah. But this is for the qunut al-haditha, where there's something event happen, some calamity happen in the ummah, and then the scholars and the rulers will indicate to us this is a calamity that we should. It's not up to us, to do individually. Obviously, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam can al-mir. Al-amir هو الذي يتحكم في القنوت. The amir, the ruler, he's the one who decides, when we have to make this qunut. That is for this calamity. So that happened. This shows sunnah for us to do on that occasion. Fadl.
Okay. This Quraysh, they was armed or they come.
I mean, they always were armed because they knew it was known that the tribes were plotting. They were not all trustworthy. So, but they were armed, but they were outnumbered. There were only 70 of them. So they weren't a match for numbers and arms against this, because this was a group of tribes. So they uh, ambushed them, and because the plan was not to fight, the plan was to meet and to teach and so on. So they were not prepared for that. Yeah.
Was not a revenge to from the prophet to revenge the.
Well, it's probably there is. It's going to be mentioned. Maybe it's coming. But at this point, he made dua against them because there are other events going on. You know, uh, what's going to happen is the Battle of Banee. So there's other things that are going to come, but it's not mentioned here that he took revenge on them. Any other question؟ أيضا الذي حصل بعد غزوة أحد سرية أبي سلمة. وكانت هذه السرية قلنا في السنة الرابعة في محرم، أي قبل سرية بئر معونة بشهر. هذه الغزوة سرية بني أبي سلمة كانت في شهر محرم. Also, there was another expedition that happened, and this report is not in Bukhari and Muslim, but هذه السرية مشهورة في كتب السير في التواريخ. This story is very famous event. It's not as authentic as the others that we mentioned, but it's been reported. وقلنا أن الأعراب تجرؤوا بعد غزوة أحد وما أصاب المسلمين في هذه الغزوة، فتجرؤوا، فكان منهم من تآمر على غزو المدينة، على أن يعني يحارب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في المدينة. ومنهم بني أسد ابن خزيمة، بني أسد ابن خزيمة، من هؤلاء القبائل. So from that, we said there were tribes that were plotting after the Battle of Uhud. This actually happened earlier, before the other battle we mentioned, but we'll mention it now. That what happened is these tribes are plotting, and some of these tribes, from them is Bani Asad, and they were plotting. Why? Because they thought the Muslims were weak after the Battle of Uhud, because they had been killed, some of them, and they had been did not achieve the victory complete. So they thought they're in a weak position and they can take advantage of them. So this tribe, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam سمع عنهم فأرسل إليهم سرية وأمر على هذه السرية أبا سلمة ابن عبد الأسد. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he sent a expedition after this tribe, was Bani Asad, and he put in charge of them Abu Salama, Sahabi al-Jalil, a great Sahabi. And وخرج أبو سلمة إلى منطقة يقال لها قطن، وهي جبل لبني أسد في النجد. وكان معه 150 مقاتلة من المهاجرين والأنصار، فباغت هؤلاء الكفار في ديارهم. So the Prophet ﷺ sent Abu Salama with an army. This was a proper army. He sent to what? To suppress this tribe, which he heard was going to try to attack Al-Madinah. So when he heard this information, he sent Abu Salama with 140 of the fighters. And when he reached them, he met them at a mountain called Qatan, and he attacked them or surprised them. ف يعني ما كان هناك قتال ولكن أخذ منهم الجمل والبعير والغنم واستاقهم إلى المدينة. فيعني رجع إلى المدينة غانما آمنا. لم يحصل قتال، لكن كان هذا نصر للمؤمنين على هؤلاء الكفرة. So here, this event, the Abu Salama and the fighters, they didn't actually have a fight or battle with these disbelievers, but they did were be able to take from them, from their cattle, from their camels and sheep and so on, and took them back to Medina. So they got a war, treasure, a booty, war treasure from them, and so they went back to Medina safely and with the spoils of the war, spoils of the battle. ولكن الشاهد من هذه السرية أن أبا سلمة هذا رضي الله عنه أصيب، يعني انتفض جرحه. هو أصلا أصيب في غزوة أحد، لكن في هذه السرية أثناءها انتفض واضطرب عليه جرحه، وقيل أنه مات من هذا الجرح بعد عدة شهور. وأبو سلمة رضي الله عنه, he was actually wounded in the battle of Uhud. And then in this expedition, the wound became more severe upon him, and it started to affect him more until eventually led to his death. And he died في جماد الآخرة. كانت هذه السرية في محرم، فمات بعد عدة شهور في شهر جماد الآخرة. After some few months, he was suffering from this wound, and he died رضي الله عنه. ومعروف أن زوجته أم سلمة رضي الله عنه من أمهات المؤمنين ومن أزواج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. فلما مات أبو سلمة قيل أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم دخل على أهله ويعني عزاهم وصبرهم ودعا لأبي سلمة ودعا له بالمغفرة. قال اللهم اغفر لنا ولأبي سلمة، اللهم افسح له في قبره، اللهم نور قبره، اللهم وسع قبره واخلف له خيرا. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Abu Salama died, as is the manners, that you give consolation to the family of the dead. So he gave consolation to them. And this was still early in Islam, so some of them were weeping and severely or about to say things which are not allowed. It's not allowed to have jaza or عدم الرضا في حالة المصيبة والموت. It's not allowed to complain, when some calamity happens. And from the greatest calamity is death of a beloved one. So some of them were about to say something which is not befitting. So the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقولون إلا ما يعني يرضي الله ولا تدعوا على أنفسكم فإن الإنسان إذا دعا على نفسه فالملائكة يؤمنون عليه على دعائه فلا لا تدعون على أنفسكم والملائكة سيؤمنون على دعائكم. So the Prophet ﷺ said, don't make dua and say something that you're going to regret, because the malaika, they say Ameen. Whenever we make dua, the angels, they say Ameen. So a person should not say something that he does not really want, something bad for himself. Some people, they may get angry and they say something against themselves, curse their car, curse their child, curse their wife. It's not befitting. And know that when you make dua, the angels are listening, of course, and they can say Ameen, and then the dua will be more likely to be accepted. So he told them, don't be, weep and mourn to this extent. Mourning is natural, but don't complain about the calamity. يعني هذا يعني لكل شيء له أجل لله ما أخذ وله ما أعطى وكل شيء عنده لأجل مسمى. As everything, Allah, He gives and He takes. He gives us the family member and He takes what's His after the death, and everything has an appointed term. So, and he made dua, as is the manners also, when you go to visit the dead, and make dua for the dead, go visit the family, make dua for the dead, and he made dua that Allah forgives him and the Muslims, and that He opens his grave, and He gives light in his grave, okay, and such dua that's nice, and he gives leaves benefit for his beloved family members after his death, and so on. So he did that. وذكر أيضا عن أم سلمة واسمها هند ابن أبي أمية. The Salama, we said, is a great Sahabiya, the wife of Abu Salama, so his widow. Okay, her name was Hind ibn Abi Umayyah. Hind is her name. Salama is her kunya. Is like a, you say the of Salama. They had a son named Salama, so he's Abu Salama and she's Salama. Okay, so but she, it was still early in Islam, so she said something which she said, as reported, she said, لا أبكين بكاء يتحدث عنها يتحدث عنه بين الناس. يعني بكاء لا تبكي مثله امرأة على رجل. She said that I'm going to cry such a crying that it will be talked about, and a crying that no woman has ever cried for, on her husband after his death. She said that out of sadness, obviously. Okay, وكانت تكاد أن تنوح وتبكي هذا البكاء حتى دخل عليها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ونباها وقال لها لا تدخلي الشيطان في بيت قد أخرجه الله منه. So the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم reminded her, وامتثلت بعد هذا التذكير. He reminded her and she responded. But the job of the Imam is to remind when people get emotional. So he reminded her and he said, do not bring the shaitan into a house, the devil into a house that Allah has taken him out of. Okay, this is house of worship. This is not house of shaitan. So if you're going to make this mourning and this crying, this is going to allow the shaitan to have possession of this house and affect the people therein. فامتثلت وكفت عن البكاء. So she stopped the crying and she responded, as is the Sahaba. This is what they do, and the believers, when they're reminded, they respond. And in the dhikra tanfa'u al-mu'minin, as it said, Allah said, the reminder benefits the believers. وهي أيضا ممن راوي لحديث أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ما من أحد أصيب بمصيبة فقال قالوا ما ذكره الله إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون اللهم أجرني في مصيبتي وأخلف لي خيرا منها إلا أخلفه الله خيرا منه إلا أخلفه الله خيرا منه. So then she is also the narrator, and this is the point of the hadith, and we're trying to mention about the Ummahat al-Mu'minin. So anytime the scholars, they come in the seerah, they talk about the mothers of the believers. She's from the wives of the Prophet, as we'll come to see. So we're talking about her story, that she mentioned, she's a narrator of this hadith, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told her that no one is afflicted with a calamity, something difficult, some bad event, or something that death or sickness or like, and then he says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To Allah we belong and to Him we return. O Allah, give me reward in this calamity. في رواية اللهم أحتسب مصيبتي هذه. O Allah, I seek reward and I expect reward in this calamity, meaning upon my patience. Allahumma akhlif li khayran minha. O Allah, give me better than it after it. Replace this calamity with better than it. So this we should say, if we have a car accident or something goes wrong with the car, or we break a bone or something like that, or then we should say this. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allahumma ajurni fi musibati wa akhlif li khayran minha. And we believe that if I'm patient, Allah is going to reward me in this. We know in the hadith, ما أصيب المؤمن حتى بشوكة إلا كفرت عنه خطاياه. That the believer is not even pricked with a thorn, even if he's just get a thorn in his foot or in his arm, and he has a little cut or something, except that his sins will come off from him. So it's good for us. In the end, it's good for us because we all have sins, and we all want to be clean from these sins. In the hadith, it's better that a person is cleansed and yusab في الدنيا فكفرت عنه خطاياه. هذا أحسن له من أن يدخر له في الآخرة فيعاقب عقابا شديدا. It's better that a person is cleansed in this life than that he is safe and not tested until the next life. Then when he meets Allah, He'll cleanse him. But that cleansing is more severe. That's more severe. Allah will punish at that time with fire or other punishment, and rather a person should go through cleansing in this life. So the point is that it's good for the person should ask a reward for his in the calamity, and also, oh Allah, give me better than it in its place. So this is the sunnah. Any calamity we have, oh Allah, give me better in its place. Okay, فهي يعني سمعت هذا الدعاء في حياة أبي سلمة، وعند مماته تذكرت هذا الدعاء وهذا الحديث فقالت امتثالا. So the Salama, she learned this hadith years ago or some time ago from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when Abu Salama died, she remembered the dua and she said it. She said it, as is the believer will do the sunnah. لكن كانت في نفسها شيء، لم تطب نفسها ولم تطاوع نفسها عند قولها واخلف لي خيرا منها. قالت من خير من أبي سلمة؟ ليس هناك رجل خير منه، هو على الصفات وحسن الأشرة حسن الإشرة. هي لم يعني تصدق أن هناك رجل أحسن منه، فلم تطب نفسه كيف يكون هناك أحسن منه خير منه، ولكن هي امتثلت وقالت الدعاء. So she said to herself, and when she said the dua, when she said to Allah we belong, to Him we return, oh Allah give me reward, no problem. And then when she came to the part, oh Allah give me better than what you took from me, she didn't really feel at ease. She didn't really feel comfortable. But she said it because she said to herself, who is better than Abu Salama? This is my husband who was a great man, and he had all these great attributes, and he was good to her, and he was the father of her child, and so on. So she said, who's going to be better than him? ثم مرت أيام, she said it nonetheless, and then some days later, أرسل إليها أبو بكر الصديق رضي الله عنه أن يزوجها and يتزوجها. So when a few days later, who came knocking to her door? Abu Bakr رضي الله عنه. وهي ردت لم تقبل. ثم جاء عمر فأرسل لها فردته. ثم جاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يزوجها فقبلت لكن بشروط. ولكن الشاهد أن أبو بكر رضي الله عنه خير من أبو سلمة، وعمر خير من أبو سلمة، والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم سيد الأولين والآخرين، لا شك أنه خير من أبي سلمة. فاستجاب الله دعاءها. استجاب الله دعاءها. So the point is that Allah answered her supplication. And He sent who is better than Abu Salama. Who came knocking to her door? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. The best of the Sahaba. The best of mankind. After the prophets and messengers is who? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Then, but she didn't accept her proposal, which is her right. Is her right. She doesn't have to accept the proposal. But then who came next? Umar radiallahu anhu. And he is the second of the best of the men, the believers after the prophets and messengers. But she didn't accept, which is her right. And then finally, the Prophet ﷺ came and proposed to her. And she accepted, of course. But she had conditions. She said, يعني فيها صفات فيها خصال. She said, I have some attributes. لابد من أن أخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بها قبل أن يتزوجني. She said, I have to tell the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam I have these qualities, so he should know what he's getting into. أولا أنا امرأة مسبية لي صبيان لي أنا ذاتي إيال. She said, number one, I have a lot young children, and I have responsibility, and they're young kids. And this is, of course, going to be a responsibility now on her husband. So she informed him, I have this issue that I'm bringing. والثانية قالت أنا امرأة ذات غيرة أغير على يعني زوجي والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان تحته ثلاث امرأة عائشة وسودة وحفصة حين ذاك فأخبرت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنها تغير على زوجي ستغير عليه ومن نسائه. So the number two, she said, I'm a jealous woman, meaning of the co-wives and the women who can have jealousy in this issue when the husband has other wives. And we know the Prophet ﷺ at this time had three other wives. He had Aisha and Sauda wa Hafsa, the daughter of Umar radiallahu anhu. So he had three wives, and this is going to be the fourth wife, right? So Salama said, I'm going to have to share my husband, and I'm jealous. So I'm letting him know that what he's getting into. والأمر الثالث قالت ليس لي ولي شاهد يزوجني. She said, I don't have anyone present at the moment who can marry me to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or any man, because we know the woman has to have wali who's going to give her in marriage. So she said, I don't have that someone right now present who can give his approval. He has to give approval. And then, of course, she has to agree also. And she agrees. But it has to be also with the guardian. The guardian has to be there, wali. فرد عليها أولا عمر غضب منها فيعني قال لها كيف تردين النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما غضب أنها ردت يعني خطبته لكن رد على شأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنها جعلت هذه شروط قبل النكاح. So Umar radiallahu anh, as was his case, he was very defensive of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he told her, how could you make conditions? This is the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He wants to marry you. Don't make conditions. Just marry him. So, but the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said and consoled her and said, don't worry. أما الأولى, the first thing you said, you have children, فالله سيكفيهم. Allah is going to take care of them. Don't worry. Don't think it's going to be a lot of expense on me, or I can't handle it, or this and that. And Allah is take care of it. Allahu Razaq. Allah is the one who provides. So don't worry. Number two, that you have a lot of jealousy. فأسأل الله أن يذهبها عنك. أدعو الله أن يذهبها عنك. He said, I ask Allah to take away your jealousy from you, from your heart. Easy. Number three, that you don't have wali. He said, ما من ولي غائب أو شاهد يعني يعترض علي. He said, there's not going to be any of your guardians, whether present or absent, who would have any problem with me. Don't worry, they would approve me. I know that. فقيل أن عمر رضي الله عنه كان ممن زوجها للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أخيرا. فذكرنا هذا يعني من مناسبة موت أبي سلمة رضي الله عنه، ومن ذكر مناقب زوجات النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رضي الله عنهم وأرضاهم أجمعين. So this we just mentioned as a in the passing about the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we said that she married. Of course, she married the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Eventually, he married her, and she was from the mothers of the believers. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to shower His blessings upon all the Sahaba, and to give them the Jannah, and we ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to reward them for their efforts. والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ونواصل إن شاء الله في درس قادم وجزاكم الله خيرا أجمعين. We'll stop here because the kids have a Quran program. If there's any questions, otherwise we have like a couple of minutes. Maybe if there's any questions on this that we took.
Was her jealousy taken away or not?
Yeah, this is the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. We would assume that it's been answered, and so it was, if not taken away, it was lightened. I mean, all women have some jealousy in this condition, but it was, she was very jealous. She's saying she was very jealous. So he made dua that this amount of jealousy should be taken away. So it was taken away, inshallah. Okay. جزاكم الله خيرا أجمعين.